like to thank. Okay, just at the same time, I would also like to thank Professor Shahina, who was my ex-friend. Now also she is a friend, but who was my, at some point of time I was sharing office with her. Okay, so thank you,
Good
Shahina.
memories. Good
Yeah,
memories.
yeah. So thank you everyone, whoever uh, took participation in inviting me. And so today I will be speaking on extension of wavelet to topologically complicated domains. What it means that I will be starting from wavelet from a simple domain to complicated domain. So the outline of my talk will be as follows. First, I'll talk about introduction to wavelets, and then I will talk about one particular kind of a wavelet, which is nowadays very useful, which is called a spectral graph wavelet. And then I will talk about the application of a spectral graph wavelet, which will be on solving a PDs also, as well as in today's framework, you can say in many machine learning techniques also it will be used. And then I will conclude my talk. So what is wavelet? First, let me give you a clear picture about the basic definition of the wavelet. What is wavelet? In a layman language, I'm explaining you. Wavelet is basically any small wave which decompose the given functions into a different scales. Okay, and when wavelet was discovered, it was discovered with the French word ondulates, meaning small waves, because ondy was small and wave was wave. So wavelet is means any small wave, you can say it is a wavelet. But the study of wavelet has attained the present growth due to the mathematical analysis of wavelet by many scientists like Mallet, Meyer, Grossman, and Morlet, Stromberg, Daubechies, etc. So now next of two my slides are enough to motivate you why we are working with wavelet or why anyone should use the wavelet. Okay, so if you look at the example which I'm showing you on my screen, in the leftmost figure you see a signal. If some of you are engineer, you can consider it as a signal, or if some of you are a mathematician, you can consider it as a function which is x in from 0 to 0.5, and 0.5 to 1 it is 1 minus x. So basically it is a discontinuous function for a mathematician, and for a engineers it is a signal. Okay, in the middle part of my figure, you can look at the Fourier approximation. Fourier approximation, I hope at some of you definitely might have studied at some point of time what is Fourier approximation. So you look at the Fourier approximation of this discontinuous function in my middle figure, and what is disturbing here, the disturbance is that you see some oscillations in recovering part. Okay, so in the middle figure I'm showing you Fourier approximation with 17 terms. Okay, while in the right figure I show you wavelet approximation with only 17 terms. So you can yourself appreciate the beauty of wavelet approximation over Fourier approximations. You see very mild oscillations in wavelet approximation in the rightmost figure. Okay, and even if these mild oscillations can disappear if I use more terms in recovery process, more than 17. Okay, while in Fourier approximation you will not be able to remove this oscillations how many terms you use, 17 or 17,000 or 17 lakhs. What is, and it's not that these oscillations are confined near the region of discontinuity, because discontinuity is at x is equal to 0.5. In fact, this oscillations are spreaded throughout for the interval from 0 to 1, and that is more disturbing part. So basically that is because of the major drawback of the Fourier approximation, and which is called Gibbs phenomena. Okay, Gibbs phenomena, many of you must have heard. So basically Gibbs phenomena we see in Fourier approximation, and which is not exist in wavelet approximation. So that is one advantage of wavelet approximation over Fourier approximation for a very simple function which I have taken. Okay, so in another slide also again you can consider this as a function or signal depending on your background. Okay, and in the middle part you see error in Fourier approximation, which is roughly magnitude is 10 to the power minus 16. And in the rightmost figure also you see error in wavelet approximation, that is also of same magnitude. So magnitude is not the concern, but what you see in the rightmost figure in error in wavelet approximation and error in Fourier approximation. So what is the basic difference you observe in both the errors? So the basic difference is that error in wavelet approximation somehow following the pattern of the signal or pattern of the function, while this is not the case with the Fourier approximation. So these two slides are enough to motivate you why we are choosing to work with the wavelet. Okay, because wavelets are better in approximation of, I am saying better, so better than Fourier approximation I have shown here, but it is also better with some other kind of approximation. But as a introductory example, I have considered only Fourier approximation. Okay, so now the question comes up. Okay, in a layman language, I have explained you what is wavelet. Wavelet is a small wave. With two examples also I've shown you, okay, wavelet has advantage over Fourier approximation. But what is wavelet? How? Because wavelet is difficult to understand in the sense that it is not one function like e to the power ix, which we use in Fourier series. Okay, e to the power ix is a combination of sine and cosine, so trigonometric function. So it is not a one function to which I can say, okay, this is a wavelet. Okay, so far I have not do the mathematical definition of wavelet. And in fact, the other thing about wavelet is there is not a single, means it's not only one wavelet in the market. There are varieties of wavelet in the market. And the motivation behind this talk is also that depending on the application, you should be able to choose which wavelet is good for your application. And there are wide varieties of wavelet, that's what I am saying. And now the question is, what is wavelet? How we can construct mathematically? Okay, so if it comes to the mathematics, multi-resolution analysis is a theory developed by Stephen Mallet and Meyer in 1980s, 88 or maybe late 90s, to characterize the following axioms. They say that if you look at this Vj spaces, which are the closed subspaces of L2R, and then the next property is union of Vj is L2R, closure of that spaces is L2R, intersection of Vj spaces is null set. The most important property is invariance to dilation. If F belongs to Vj, and if I dilate it with 2, it will go to the next space. So that is invariance to dilation. And invariance to dilation you also see in when you take the in the Fourier basis, because what is Fourier basis? E to the power ix, e to the power 2ix. So 2 is basically a dilation factor. 3 can also be a dilation factor, but just for simplicity we take dilation factor only 2. So invariance to dilation is there also, but translation, invariance to translation property is not in the Fourier basis. Okay, so invariance to translation means phi, if phi is any function phi x minus k belongs to Z, will give me an orthonormal basis for a space V naught. And if I dilate with these functions with 2 to the power j, then it will give me an orthonormal basis for a space Vj. That's the whole idea. So as I'm, it is without going into the multi-resolution analysis, it is difficult to explain you what is wavelet, because this is the mathematical theory to construct wavelet mathematically. Otherwise, there are two kinds of property based on which you can say, okay, this is a wavelet. That if I'm calling a simple function psi, okay, psi is a wavelet, then integral of psi x dx should be 0. That is the first property. And the second property is that psi and psi hat, Fourier transform of psi should be localized. Okay, these are the two basic property to call, okay, whether function is a wavelet or not. Rest all are desirable properties of the wavelet. Okay, that I'll explain in due course of time. So this is basically a dilation property. If phi is V naught, and if I dilate it, it will go to the next space, and then this is the dilation relation. And for a Dovichy's compactly supported wavelet, there are only finitely many HKs. Here I am showing you HKs k is 0 to d minus 1 will be non-zero. So it's not that wavelet are always compactly supported. Okay, there are wavelets which are non-compactly supported wavelet also, because there is a difference between compactly supported and localized function. Okay, so like Gaussian is not compactly supported, but it is a localized function. Similarly, so that restriction we are posing on wavelet, function should be localized as well as its Fourier transform should be localized. Okay, just a minute here. Yeah. So now we are defining first time. That's what I was keep saying. What is psi? If you go through the MRA, wavelet system is characterized by two things, phi and psi. Phi is called scaling function and psi is called wavelet. So any wavelet should satisfy two conditions, that integral of that psi should be 0 as well as psi and psi head should be well localized. Okay, and this is the multi-resolution. If you give me any function, if that function satisfy these two properties, that is enough to say that it is a wavelet. Okay, so why Gaussian is not a wavelet? Because Gaussian is localized, its Fourier transform is also localized, but integral of psi x dx is not 0. Similarly, why sin x function is not a wavelet? Because sin x function is not localized function. Okay, this integral is 0, but it is not a localized function. So at least I have given you two examples why those two functions are not wavelet. Okay, so if you go through the multi-resolution analysis, phi and psi come together, call it as a wavelet. So basically wavelet system is characterized by two things, phi and psi, and this is what you see on the screen. Psi x is equal to summation of gk phi k1x. So psi x also, because of this dilation property, it is written as a linear combination of phi. Okay, so I'm not going into many technical details. Okay, so now let me come to these were, so far I was talking about first generation wavelet, and now I'm coming to the second generation wavelet. So what is the basic idea was first generation wavelet? Basic idea behind the first generation wavelet was that it was dilation and translation of a single function. Because if you know psi j k, where j is the dilation and k is the translation, is giving me an orthonormal basis for L2R. Some things I would have written on the scribble on the slides if I would have connected through my iPad, but there was some issue. That's why now I cannot scribble anything on the slide because I'm in my laptop. Okay. So why second generation wavelet? Second generation wavelet was developed by Wim Swilden in 1996. It gives fast order of n transforms. Why fast order of n transform is needed? Because whenever we are working with wavelet system, we have to transform everything from physical space to the wavelet space. Okay, so for that reason, like many of you must have also heard fast Fourier transform, because in Fourier transform also, whenever we are using, we have to go from physical domain to the Fourier domain. So similar thing is exist here also. Okay, and dynamic grid adaptation to the local irregularities of the solution, because that is the most prominent feature of the wavelet. These kind of situation arise in tracking of storm sufferance for the simulation of global atmospheric dynamics. While first generation wavelet you cannot generalize to the general manifold, second generation wavelet we were able to generalize, because most of the real life application exist in general manifold. Okay, so that's why general manifold. And simple example on which we have worked, at least me and my collaborator, we have worked on the sphere, because most of the real life application which comes from meteorology department or climatology, they exist on sphere. Application of adaptive wavelet collocation method to the problem of geodesy, climatology and meteorology. Representative examples include forecasting the moisture and cloud water fields and numerical weather prediction. Moreover, many PDs arise from main curvature flow, surface diffusion flow, and Willman flow also exist on the sphere. So our main aim is to consider the sphere. And now, why wavelets on manifolds? So simple example is a spherical wavelets. So a spherical triangular grid, which is basically a quasi-uniform triangulations, avoids the pole problems. You know, it's not that people were not solving PDs on sphere, they were solving using conventional uniform longitude latitude grid, because many of you must have heard this longitude latitude grid based system. Okay, that you are in which latitude and longitude, but these kind of grid systems near the latitude, when phi is 0, 1 over sine phi, so it produce the singularity of coordinate system near the pole. So the solution of that is necessary to introduce auxiliary coordinate systems. Another solution is to avoid the introduction of metric terms which are unbounded near the poles. Okay, so for that reason we were working on spherical wavelet, and to solve PD efficiently using adaptivity on general manifold by wavelet method was an open problem till 2000. And all the past application of wavelet to turbulence have been mainly restricted to flat geometry, which severely limits for geophysical application. Flat geometry means any square, interval, all are flat geometry, curvature 0. And sphere is again a simple example, but with non-zero curvature. Okay. So now again, I have come to this MRA because that's what I said. I have said that this is the mathematical idea behind the construction of wavelet. So whenever you will listen any lecture on wavelet, you will listen MRA. MRA means multi-resolution analysis approximation, which is characterized by the subspaces VJ. So with respect to first generation wavelet, also I have stated the definition of MRA. Here also I am stating the definition of MRA. So the basic difference from there to here is that at that point of time, I was saying that phi jk is an orthonormal basis. But now I am saying phi jk will give me only these basis. Okay, because so to construct a wavelet on a general manifold like sphere, I'm paying the price for it. And what is the price I have paid? These bases. Now I'm not ending with the orthonormal basis. Okay. Of course, orthonormal bases are desirable thing when you wanted to apply into any numerical method. Okay. But at some point of time, I will show you that what are the desirable properties of the wavelet, and it's all are desirable. Okay, but you have to pay. If you wanted to have one property, you have to pay the price for other. So here I have paid the price of orthogonality to construct on the manifold. That is the whole idea, and that's why it is called second generation wavelet. Similar type of dilation relation and wavelet equation which we have seen in the first generation also exist here. Yeah, so the idea behind construction of a spherical wavelet is starting from a platonic solid like icosahedron. You keep starting dividing this is at level 1 and this is at level 2. Okay, so this is red points. Okay, so now, yeah, so now let me explain you this slide, which is a very useful slide in terms of giving you an idea how wavelet works. Okay, so this in the left side, you see the function which is defined on the sphere, which is a superposition of Gaussian, which you see this that's how Gaussian will look like on the sphere, as well as some shock. Okay, and this is the wavelet expansion, like a Fourier expansion. Okay, uh, why I'm saying like, because here basis functions are wavelet basis function, and if it would have been a Fourier expansion, basis function would have been the Fourier basis function. Okay, so J0 is the coarsest level of approximation and J is the finest level of approximation. That's what I have said in my very first slide. The idea behind wavelet is to decompose the function at different scales. That's why I'm saying that J0 is a one kind of scales, and small j are different kind of scales. Okay. And you see, if I don't use any important feature of wavelet, which is basically adaptive, or you can say compression. So this is, you see, this is a wavelet expansion. I'm dividing this into two parts, whose wavelet, whose amplitude is greater than epsilon, and wavelet whose amplitude is less than epsilon. So epsilon, what is epsilon? Epsilon is basically a wavelet thresholding parameter. Epsilon is a wavelet thresholding parameter, and that is the property which is available in wavelet expansion, contrary to the Fourier approximation. Okay. So if I discard all wavelet whose amplitude will be less than epsilon, if so, you will see in my next slide when I'm discarding how the corresponding grid will going to look like. Okay. So you see, so this is how, so you can see, otherwise total number of grid points were very large. So 5 times compression we are getting in terms of handling the grid points. Okay. And grid is something very important to make whenever you wanted to solve any differential equations. Or this is the property which is also useful when people are taking the application of wavelet in image compression, signal compression. Okay, if some of you are engineers, you must be using Fourier series or something else for a signal or image compression. Same way, wavelets also gives you a compression. That's the basic idea behind wavelet. Okay. So this is epsilon is 10 to the power minus 5. So 5 times compression at j is equal to 6. If I keep increasing the scale, you will see more and more. So at j is equal to 7, total number of grid points, here you can see 1,63,000 roughly. And if I will use wavelet compression property, only 20,000 points left. Okay. So 8 times less points. So that's the beauty of wavelet compression. Okay. Similarly, I will go for J8, total number of points you can see on the screen. And here with respect to only these many points. So miss, till what point we can keep going in this manner? We will keep going in this manner till we reaches to steady state. No more points are added. That's the idea. Okay. So now we come to the diffusion wavelet, which was also invented by R. Kaufman in 2006. This wavelet was also one could construct on a general manifold, but again, given a manifold X, we were trying to use a diffusion operator. Okay. And the idea behind this wavelet was, in this wavelet one was able to construct an orthonormality also, but the construction was quite difficult and it was unstable also in some cases. So classes of operator which can be used for the construction of diffusion wavelet include approximation of second order differential operator. So by now at least I have given you basic idea how wavelets are evolved. That's what extension of wavelet to topologically complicated domain. So we have started with first generation wavelet, then we came on the second generation wavelet, and now we are on the diffusion wavelet. So if I compare now diffusion wavelet with second generation wavelet, both of them we can construct on a general manifold, which was our aim. Diffusion wavelets are orthogonal, while second generation wavelets we are constructing in a bi-orthonormal setting. And the main difference between two lies that when we are constructing second generation wavelet, we have to have some idea behind that. Like in a sphere case, we have to start with the icosahedron. We should have some idea behind the initial mesh by which, if we subdivide, we get to the desired manifold. And that is not the case in the diffusion wavelet. So that is one advantage. Okay. In case of a diffusion wavelet, I'm not going into the technical details of this diffusion wavelet, and that's why I'm skipping some slides. Okay. Yeah. So now I'm coming to motivation for wavelet methods. As I have said, at some point of time, I will explain. So wavelet bases allowed to represent objects with singularities of complex structure with low number of degree of freedom, a property that is very promising when you could think of application to numerical solution of PD, which is my expertization. Otherwise, this property is the property because of that people are using this in the image compression or signal compression also. Okay, of course, but that area I'm not exploring. If some of you are engineers, you must be knowing that. As well as wavelet gives you good approximation properties. It gives you multi-scale decomposition, compact support. It is, again I'm saying, it is a desired properties, compact support. Vanishing moment are also means some vanishing moment is required. The higher the vanishing moment, the more compression the wavelet will give. So vanishing moment is also desirable property. Existence of fast wavelet transform is also desirable properties. Okay. So some properties are desirable, which you have to achieve to it's not that every property you can achieve in the wavelet construction. Sometime you will have an orthogonal wavelet, sometime you will have a compactly supported wavelet, sometime you will have a wavelet which will have a very good vanishing moment. So if your concern is a compression, you go for more vanishing moment wavelet. If you are using for a solution of PD, you go for a wavelet which are compactly supported. So depending on the application, you should choose a wavelet. Okay, many people choose blindly. Okay, they wanted to use wavelet, that's why. But some wavelets are very promising in some specific application. So wavelet is not a remedy for everything. If your function is very smooth, like in previous slide, my function was discontinuous. If your function is very smooth, you should not use a wavelet, you should use Fourier basis. So that's the whole idea. Sometimes people use wavelet because it is a fancy word, but they should also look at the application. And the first attempt to use wavelet basis for numerical solution of PD go back to early 90s. Despite the vast literature available, the wavelet theory for numerical solution of PD on general manifold is still in a very initial stage. And this is some of the work we have done in this direction. And now I'm coming to another wavelet, which is a spectral graph wavelet constructed in 2011 by Hammond and others. So this wavelet is constructed on arbitrary finite weighted graph. Okay. When I'm coming to the graph, it is a very useful application, you can say, because most of the machine learning problems also we see on the graphs. So this wavelet is very useful in machine learning technique also. That's very well application of a spectral graph wavelet. Okay, just a minute. Are you able to see my slides?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay. And the adjacency matrix for the weighted graph has the entries this. Okay. And for a weighted graph, because some data sets can naturally be modeled as a scalar function defined on the vertex of graph. As I'm keep saying that this wavelet is very useful in machine learning. How? Because most of the data set if you look at nowadays, data computer networks, transportation network, social network can all be described by weighted graph with the vertices corresponding to in case of a computer network, vertices will be individual computers. In case of a transportation network, vertices will be cities, or social network, vertices will be people. And so basically spectral graph wavelet could be useful for analyzing data defined on these vertices where the data is expected to be influenced by the underlying topology of the network, you can say. So if I relate the application of this spectral graph wavelet with the present day scenario, it will be very useful with respect to corona also. If you are taking the data of this COVID-19, because consider rate of infection of a particular disease among different population center. Okay, Okay, because disease may be expected to spread by people traveling from city to another city. So you can analyze the transport network. Okay, may be helpful for this type of data analysis. So that's what I have also explained you with respect to present day scenario, because it can solve the data compression property, which is a very vital in machine learning techniques also, which is a very hot topic nowadays. So for a weighted graph, the degree of each vertex written weight of, that's how this wavelet is constructed with the help of adjacency matrix. The graph Fourier transform. So thing which is the first step after construction of a wavelet we have to work out. So to define a spectral graph wavelet transform, initially we are working with two functions, kernel functions G and H. Okay, as I'm keep saying that every wavelet system, when we go through something, it is phi and psi. When we go through MRA, and in a spectral graph wavelet, basically we are ending with the frames. In second generation wavelets, we were ending with the these have in represent, and that's how spectral graph wavelets are defined. Psi and T is TGT and delta N. Okay, it's basically a dilation. The wavelet operator is, so here you can see. So the basic that because you cannot represent and
There is, excuse me, Professor.
yeah.
Again, we are facing the same issue. Your voice is cutting off.
Okay, just let me be more close to my laptop.
Okay.
So is that fine now?
Yes, now it's fine.
Yeah. So, okay. So the wavelet coefficients of a functions are obtained by taking the inner product of that functions with these wavelets. Okay. So this is how spectral graph wavelet transform is defined. Spectral graph scaling functions are again determined by single real valued function h that satisfy these two properties. Because why, I'm not, you should not go into the technical details how this construction, as I'm in a layman language, I'm showing that okay, spectral graph wavelets are constructed with the help of two scaling function, and I am again posing some specific property on h and g, which you will be seeing on my slides, that okay, x tends to infinitive, hx should be 0. So why I'm posing these things? I'm posing these things to construct a function which should satisfy the basic requirement, so that I can call this function as a wavelet. So which is basically psi should be localized, as well as its Fourier transform should also be localized. Similar, they used Hammond and others used spectral graph scaling function transform. So the construction of this spectral graph wavelet transform was already developed by someone. And the naive way of computing this requires explicit computation of entire set of eigenvalues and eigenfunctions of a Laplacian operator. This approach is very computationally inefficient for a larger graph, because graphs can be very large if you are working with the real data set. So in order to achieve fast transform, these kernel functions are approximated by Chebyshev polynomial expansion. That is the technical things. Okay, so I'm skipping this. Yeah, this figure will give you an idea how this wavelet coefficients are working for a simple functions, because earlier I have shown you a one function on the sphere. Now again I'm coming back to the interval, where I have taken a function which is a superposition of Gaussian as well as one shock. Okay, so yeah, explicit expression of this function is also I have written in the title of my figure. Fx is basically is equal to minus 10 hyperbolic plus Gaussian. Okay, so this is you now, this is, you can see how this wavelet coefficients will behave. So what is the thing you are observing? That wherever function has a discontinuity or some happening part, wavelet coefficients are very large. While in other part, and that is the basic property of wavelet which makes it very useful candidate for compression, or with respect to uh, solving a differential equation, this property is exploited in creating adaptive grid. Okay, so you can see these points, these wavelet coefficients are 0 in rest of the domain, almost 0 wherever it is some happening part, because that stuff may not be very much clear to you when I was taking a function on the sphere, but this function is on the interval. So, and I have superimposed wavelet coefficients on the same figure, so this will be very clear to you, I hope. Okay, so that's how wavelet coefficient behaves. Okay, so means by looking at the wavelet coefficients, I can tell the behavior of the function. Wavelet coefficients will be decay very fast wherever the function is smooth, and maintain a slow decay wherever function has discontinuity. That is the whole idea, or some happening part. Okay, and because of this, it is a very useful candidate. And again, if you wanted to construct an adaptive grid, this is how adaptive grid can be created with respect to same function. And this is the example of a function which I have taken in my very first slide also. How much time I'm left with? Can you tell, Professor?
Just last
Yeah.
15 minutes. 15 minutes. Still, you have 15 minutes.
Okay, okay. So means 5 minutes or 10 minutes followed by question answer. Just a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
So means I have 5 more minutes to talk about slides. Am I right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So
You
this is
can take 10 minutes even.
Oh, no, that's okay. I will stick. I'll not
Okay.
take. I'll see. Yeah, Turing patterns on the sphere. This is a very useful problem which exists on the sphere, because in 1952, and the idea behind this problem is that Turing settled the basis for explaining biological patterns using two interacting chemical which under certain conditions can generate stable functions from an initial near homogeneity. This phenomena has now been shown to occur in chemistry and biology. Basically, this is a reaction diffusion equation governed by system of nonlinear reaction diffusion equation. Why? Because this problem is difficult to solve specifically on the sphere, because we have to work with it for a stable pattern comes at a very large time. At initial state, we consider this, if this is the initial condition we are considering. So this is the first time I am simulating the solution of a differential equation using adaptive methods. Okay, so the stable pattern can either be strips or spots depending on the parameters as R1 and R2. The parameters R1 favor strips while R2 favors spots. Okay, so we fix the following parameter. In the first case, we are taking R1 3.5, R2 0. So it will favor strips or spots depending on R1 and R2. And this is, you look at my solution. So this is the initial condition. This is the corresponding grid. This is the solution at t is equal to 18 and corresponding adaptive grid. So that's why using wavelet method, my method is dynamically adaptive. Okay, where as contrary to the other traditional methods where you have to use some posterior estimates to generate a adaptive grid. Okay, so at t is equal to 50 and t is equal to 1000, to simulate the solution of a differential equation on the sphere at such a large time is nearly impractical, even with the many good computers without adaptive grid. Okay, but we were able to simulate using adaptive grid at t is equal to 1000 in a very stable manner, and that shows the dynamic feature of our method which we have proposed. And this work is also published, and this is with respect to second case where it favors the spots. In previous case, it was favoring the strips. So that's how, these kind of patterns also, if I have to connect with the layman language, these kind of patterns you see in zebra also, animals. So how they patterns are created. And this is more recent work of mine. Okay, so this is a collaborative work with my collaborator, Professor Gunter Lungling from FAU Erlangen, Germany, and my PhD student. So what we are doing, uh, people used to solve partial differential equations on interval or on the sphere, but there is something more also, mathematical solution of PDs on network like a structure, modeling many real phenomena like water wave propagations in open channels, or if you look at the gas network, they are also of some, or beam network, string network. Okay, so they are a collections of network, so we have to model partial differential equations on a network like structures. Okay, so and these kind of, because gas pipeline, if you look at real in with respect to real life gas network, or any other kind of a network, beam network you can also consider. So to discover all the feature of solution, we need a large set of node points, but this will increase the computational as well as storage class. So specifically, if you will ask me, first generation wavelet or second generation wavelet, I cannot exploit the solution of PDs on a network like a structure, because those wavelets cannot be generalized on any network. Okay, and that is the peculiar feature, or I should say very specific feature of a spectral graph wavelet, which makes promising for this kind of a PD. In some cases, the set required to capture all the feature of the solution may exceed the practical limitation. To deal with these problems, we have to work on adaptive node arrangement, which will keep on modifying according to numerical solution of PD on network evolves with time. So this is just a comparison between dynamic adaptive method, which we get with the wavelet method, and with other traditional adaptive methods. So I'm not going into the detail of it. Okay, yeah, so here, yeah, we can see a simple example of a network, which is basically a star graph. A star graph is means when it is in the shape of a star, that's why star graph with 3 edges only. Okay, for the numerical computation, we have taken the following wavelet kernel, and this is how this G has been chosen. This G is a wavelet kernel functions, and this is how wavelet will look like on a star graph. Okay, so wavelet, from the figure also you should be able to visualize that wavelets are a well localized function, as well as its Fourier transform also. So the space localization is apparent from the figure as Tj tends to 0. Yes, so there are two kinds of adaptive techniques. Uh, Here, standard adaptation techniques, when we go from the coarser level, and modified adaptation techniques, when we go, sorry, in standard adaptation techniques, we go from the final level, and in modified adaptation techniques, we go from the coarser level. So that's what we have used in our computation. We are going from the coarser level J0, then wavelet transform will be performed. We will get the scaling and wavelet coefficient. Then we go to the final level, where we will get the adaptation techniques and wavelet coefficient.
Uh, Professor Mehra, we can't hear you.
Problem of network with linear and parabolic PDs on each edge. Okay, so basically this shows the heat conduct collection of a heat conducting elements. Okay, so continue, and this kind of problems are, we are starting with a very simple parabolic PD, but country like India or Pakistan, I can say, or other countries where leakage is a big problem, whether it is a gas network, pipe network, leakage is a big, this kind of work may be useful in that case. Okay, because leakage is a big issue there. Okay, incidence matrix, here we are showing nu and C are constant coefficient of the differential operator. And to solve differential equations on this kind of network, discretization of the graph is needed. That's what we are doing. We are adding one more vertices on the edge. And this is just a technical details which I'm skipping. Yeah, I'll show you. Yeah, just this. Yeah. So this is how wavelet coefficient will look like for this function. So again, you know, here most of the wavelet coefficients are 0. Here wavelet coefficients are non-zero also, because in the test function I have considered accordingly. And this is my adaptive grid for epsilon 10 to the power minus 4. So total number of so you can appreciate that for a large graph, using this adaptive grid will be very beneficial, because this is just a star graph and only happening part along one edge. And the convergence of a graph Laplacian on an adaptive grid can also be proved. We have proved numerically that this will be order of 10 to the power minus 4. One could also think of applying advection diffusion equation, because that will also model some of the very challenging real life phenomena on a star graph. We have also done that. So this is the solution and adaptive node arrangement at t is equal to 0.4. So you will see that this wave, because this is a solution of advection diffusion equation, so this wave will travel as well as will diffuse. Similarly, our adaptive grid will travel as well as it diffuse. So adaptive grid is really following the pattern of the solution. That's why this method is dynamic feature. Okay, so grid is traveling as well as it is diffusing. Okay, so you see that's the, and everything is automatically, because wavelet coefficients are taking care of that part. So basically this method is used to solve PDEs on two different type of network topology, which we have verified. As such, it is also applicable for general network, but we have not investigated that point. Then the solution and corresponding adaptive grid at different times are obtained. That the result shows that sufficiently accurate solution capturing the emergence of localized pattern at all scales. Okay, and there is some sort of similarity in diffusion and spectral graph wavelet. For example, both requires a diffusion operator for their construction. So basic idea is that, you know, construction is given by someone, then you have to use that construction, you have to drive wavelet transform, and then you have to, there are so many mathematical or numerical part associated with wavelet, and after working out with all those parts, you are ready to use wavelet. Okay, so basically weighted graph provides a flexible generalization of irregular grid domains. This particular weighted graph wavelet motivated us to try spectral graph wavelet method for numerical solutions of PDs on network like structures. And this is some of my recent work. Thank you very much for attention. I hope I have just taken 5 minutes extra, which is okay, I think.
Yeah, absolutely okay.
Yeah.
It's thank you, Professor Mani Mehra. This is a wonderful talk, loaded with a lot of information, lot of technicalities, and you try to explain everything in a more generic way so that everyone can follow. But I really do, I can see that a lot of technicalities are there. So let's have questions from the audience. So any questions from the audience?
Yeah.
Any question? Usman? Yeah, please.
Hello, thank you, Professor Mehra. Very interesting talk. And I have a couple of questions that I was trying to understand towards the end of the talk. So we had this star graph, which was discretized, and it looked like not a discrete graph; it was a metric graph instead, I guess.
Yeah, it was a metric graph.
So so I was confused in the middle part. So we had a discrete version in the middle part of the talk, and then there was a continuous.
I'll say that is a very good question. Yeah, but when I'm solving this differential equation on a metric graph, but when I'm solving it, I have to discretize it. And wavelet application of wavelet comes to create a adaptive grid, and that will be used at the discrete level.
Okay, now I have a comment to make. It's not a question, but if we have a metric graph, and so we have these edges, and we are discretizing them, and we put new vertices on the edges,
Yes.
right? So at
Yeah.
the main vertex, at the initial vertex, we had Kirchhoff conditions. So what were the conditions on that discretized part, that new vertices that appeared in the middle of the edges?
That will be automatic, because interval also you take finite difference method, those conditions are automatically satisfied.
Right. So they are basically numerical discretization,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Like, if you will discretize any partial differential equation on a 0-1 interval, so when you discretize model, then you don't bother about this Kirchhoff and continuity condition, which is coming from modeling part specifically to that vertex.
Right.
Kirchhoff
So,
joint
right.
vertex.
Right. So we had these eigenvalues thing. So we had this discrete Laplacian, and then we had this continuous Laplacian. So the eigenvalues for the discrete Laplacian would be finite in number, and the eigenvalues for the continuous Laplacian would be infinite in number, right?
Yeah. So when I'm solving a differential equation, so I have to discretize it first. So when I'm discretizing the whole network, then I'm ending with a finite number of that it is an approximation. Okay. Miss, discrete world is finite. Discrete world cannot be infinite like a continuous world.
I got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Rizwan.
Thank you very much for the wonderful talk. I just wanted if you could comment on what kind of a wavelet construction is good for use in quantum mechanics, if you have any idea.
The quantum mechanics, I will say you can use the wavelet which are symmetric also, which that property, in fact, I have not said here, but if you look at my book, which is also I have written, in that book I have specifically mentioned that which wavelet you should use depending on the property. So if it is a symmetric wavelet, there are some other wavelet also, Morlet wavelet, which I have not said in my slides. Okay, so there are Morlet wavelet which are symmetric, and second generation wavelets are also symmetric, so that also you can use. But you said in a very broad manner that quantum mechanics, but I don't know whether you are really do you want to use symmetric wavelet or not. But most of the people who want to use in quantum mechanics or in some image compression, they wanted to take the symmetric property also of the wavelet, that wavelet function should be symmetric. Okay, because then their numerical job is half, because they just will extract the half part of it, and then other half they can create with symmetricity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Mehra. Are there any questions from the audience? Okay, if this is the case, let us thank Professor Mehra once again. And Professor Mehra, it is a great pleasure and honor to have you here in our seminar series. And we must thank Shahina, Dr. Shahina, for creating this opportunity. And we will be looking forward for more interactive seminars and interactive activities with you in future, hopefully. Anything you would like to share?
Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye. Yeah.